Hey guys, it's Bauke for Liberty to Travel, and today I want to continue where I started yesterday, which was with New Year's resolutions and how small habits can really make a difference in your life. And I believe that if you want to reach any kind of goal, um, small habits and just making small changes over time will have really big results. Whereas if you try to really push it and do too much at the same time and make big changes in your life, like right now, you're going to fail. And that is, I think, one of the reasons why so many people fail at their New Year's resolutions. So for me, I will just start going over the habits that made the biggest difference for me in my life in all the areas that I named before. And I will go over them in chronological order and do a video on each one of them. So today I want to talk to you about my health and basically how I made a big difference in my health in my early 20s. So this was pretty much 7 to 8 years ago approximately, but it starts earlier than that. So I want to talk to you first about what I was like as a child. So as a child, I was quite small and skinny, and that was like my natural way. So I was not fat, but I was also not very fit. I wasn't athletic. I really hated going to the gym as a child. I hated physical exercise at school, and I was just um, really not into sports at all. I didn't practice any sports, and so I wasn't very fit, nor was I very fat because I was naturally super skinny. Then, when I got older, when I got in my basically as soon as I became an adult and I was in my early 20s, my metabolism obviously started slowing down, and the effects of not being athletic and not being sportsy really started to catch up with me and my health, and I started to gain weight all of a sudden. And also I was not super happy, and I think that was a contributing factor to me eating very unhealthy at times and eating a lot of snacks in between meals and things like that. And so in my early 20s, I actually started to get kind of a belly. I wasn't like super fat or obese, or like I was, as I said, I was naturally super skinny. So it took a lot for me to even gain weight in the first place. But when I did, it really started to show as a belly. And over time, even my face became fatter, and I was just like at least on the path to becoming a fat person. And so for me, the change, like the realization that I needed to change something, happened actually in a clothing store as I was buying like pants that were even bigger than the ones I had before. And I was in the dressing room, looked in the mirror, and I looked at myself and my belly, and I was like, what the hell how did I let this happen? Like, I'm starting to look fat. How, I was never a fat person. How did this possibly happen to me? And so that's when I decided to make a change. Now, luckily for me, my parents had gone through a period in which they became quite fat and wanted to lose weight a few years before, and they had um, struggled a lot with trying different ways, different methods to lose weight, and eventually they discovered low carb diets. Um, Back then, the main and most popular one was the Atkins diet. And so my mother especially really implemented that diet into her life, and it made a huge difference for her. So suddenly, where before she never could lose much weight at all with anything she tried, this time she lost a ton of weight very fast. And so my dad, after seeing this result, did the same thing, also lost quite a bit of weight. And so when I was in my early 20s and I realized I needed to lose weight, I immediately went to that diet as I had seen the results in my own parents, and I knew that that was a diet that works. And so I cut all carbs from my diet for a while. I stopped eating bread, pasta, rice, and any sort of sweets, anything with sugar basically. And in addition to that, I decided I wanted to become more athletic, at least more fit, and so I bought a road bike, a bicycle for racing, and I started doing like bicycle trips. So cycling, as a Dutch person, of course, it's in my blood. We grow up on bicycles and we ride them all our lives, but I just did it like as a method of transportation, and I only rode like small distances, like to the supermarket or to the train station, or just small things. But on this road bike, I did eventually, as soon as I got a bit more into it and I got more comfortable with the bike, I did really long trips, like 100 Ks, or sometimes I've even done like a 200 K trip once. Which takes all day basically. You're basically on the bike for like 10 hours straight, or well, like 8 maybe, something like that. But yeah, it takes a really long time. But I started doing that more often on weekends and on days off, and especially in the summertime. It was really nice, and that combined with the diet made me lose 15 kilograms in just 2 months. 15 kilograms, I think, should be about 33 pounds. So in 2 months, I've lost 15 kilograms, 33 pounds, which was massive. Like, I've had people tell me later when I retell this story, like, well, that's not healthy, that's not a normal amount of weight to lose. But I think because I was always a skinny person, and I was someone who naturally had a pretty fast metabolism, I was able to lose weight very fast, and also I was super young still, so that all made it easier. But after that, I basically vowed, okay, I want that not to happen to me ever again, at least not in that way, not in that extreme a fashion. So even though I haven't been eating low carb or any kind of diet for an extended amount of time since, every time I feel like I've gained a bit of weight, now I know like how easy and fast I can lose it. I just go on a low carb diet for a couple weeks or months, depending on how much weight I gained, and I burn it off like so fast. And not just that, but ever since I got that bike and I started exercising, I've been exercising very often. Like, actually, like since then I've built up and up and up. I started going to the gym more often, started doing fitness, did weight training, spinning, like doing cycling on a stationary bike with a trainer, and like a very high intensity program. And I've added more and more exercise into my life. After I moved to Thailand over 2 years ago, I started doing CrossFit, and that's where I found like the exercise I'm super excited, like most excited about so far. I really love being in a group setting with a trainer who helps you out and like motivates you to really push you to your limits. And I really like the combination of strength work and conditioning. So CrossFit has been a big thing for me, and yeah, it's definitely my favorite form of exercise so far. So now, compared to like 7, 8 years ago, I am not only a lot slimmer than I was at the time, I'm also way fitter. And so while at the time the changes I made were pretty small, like I started cycling a bit, like here and there, but I wasn't like doing 5 days a week of CrossFit like I'm doing now. I definitely would never have had the conditioning required to even attempt that. Over the last 7 or 8 years, I've just been like building up, adding more and more to my own fitness, to my own health. Every time I gained weight, I managed to lose it again with low carb dieting. And not just that, but even in my regular day-to-day, because of that experience, I now have I'm much more in tune with my body, and when I feel like I've been eating too unhealthy, when I feel like I need to like increase my vegetable intake, for example, or like reduce my sugar intake, things like that. And I'm much I know now every time I go for kind of a snack or something unhealthy, I see it that way, but rather than like feeling really guilty about it, I can just decide for myself much more easily, like I can handle this right now. I'm in good shape. I'm healthy. I haven't been eating many unhealthy things lately. Now it's okay for me to eat a hamburger as long as it's this once and not like every day for the next week, because that's when you start to run into problems. And so that is how over the last 7 or 8 years, just small changes, small habits have made massive impact on my own health and fitness. And so that is my first recommendation if you want to implement small habits into your life. Start with some form of exercise that you really like, that you're really excited about, and just start doing it twice or 3 times a week, however much you can find the time to do. Don't sign up for a gym and sign up to some crazy extreme exercise program if you're completely out of shape. If you're really like fat and unfit, start with just walking. Just go for a hike every now and then, and make sure that if you get like super exhausted and tired, stop and go again later. Don't go to extremes, because that's how you will burn out, that's how you will fail. Same with diet. Find a diet that works for you. Now I'm a big believer that there's two very different kinds of diet. There's diets to just stay fit and healthy, and there's diets to lose weight. I don't think they are necessarily the same thing, because for me, losing weight always involves some kind of low carb dieting. Like if as soon as I need to actually lose weight, I go to some kind of low carb diet and it just melts off for me. Like it goes really fast. Now that doesn't work for everyone. I know it doesn't work for everyone, because my girlfriend's been really struggling with low carb dieting, and she's just not losing as much weight as I used to when I was doing that diet. And my parents had the same experience as me, where they were able to lose weight really fast. But I've heard other people as well who just haven't been able to do it as fast. So maybe for you, low carb is not the diet to go with. But I know that for me, that is what really works. But if I just want to stay fit and healthy, I don't need to do a low carb diet. I know that as long as I just limit the amount of unhealthy foods I eat, that is enough for me to stay healthy. And not just limit the amount of unhealthy food, but even more importantly, I think that is actually more importantly, is just increasing the amount of healthy food. So make sure you eat loads of green vegetables like broccoli, spinach, kale, like whatever you can find wherever you are. Like here in Thailand, it's like kind of different. Like we eat a lot of, for example, morning glory, or what else? Like there's like some kind of vegetables, like the green eggplants they use a lot in the curries here, for example, things like that. Those are just different from the ones you would find in other countries, but just find whatever works for wherever you are, and make sure you eat tons of green vegetables and other just healthy vegetables. Yeah, that's it. That's what's helped me out with my health and fitness. So in the next video, I'll talk about another aspect of my life and the habits I created there over time, and how they have helped me to become a better person in that area. See you later.